So we're here today on the Moree Plains in the Gwydir Valley. We've just come into this field that's been picked following 140 mil of rain. We've dug a soil pit and we're going to have a look at what the picker running through's done to the soil physics in terms of compaction and soil structure. So out here on the Gwydir, much like a lot of our cotton growing regions, we're producing cotton on these really heavy clays. That's a good thing for us if we're irrigating, because it means that the clay can hold water really well and supply that to the crop over whatever our irrigation interval is. The downside of it holding water really well is that when we come through to defoliate, the crop's no longer extracting moisture. So any rain that we get between defoliation and picking typically is going to stay in this clay. This clay, as you can see by the depth of the furrows coming through here, really squishes down very easy when it's under intense pressure, when it's wet. And that's what we're observing here in this field right now. So here is the impact of where one of the picker tyres has come through. And when you're looking at your soil, you can see how it's become really compressed, really squeezed together here. This is actually called platy structure. And if we pull out one of these aggregates, it's been quite pressed down. And that's the effect of the compaction from this picker tyre squishing down here. If it's in our furrows, sure, we accept that because that's just going to happen. But the real risk is when it spreads out into the rows and under the plant line. Typically the patterns of compaction kind of balloon out a bit like that, with the severity kind of reducing but ballooning out under to the plant line. That's not what we want. That's the no-go scenario. The best case scenario is that we don't have to pick when it's wet, and then we don't get the same severity of this compaction. But the reality that we live in is that we do often have to pick when it's wet over the past few years under these conditions. So the fact is, we will have compaction. After that's occurred, you've got to do one initial thing, which is assess the severity of that compaction. You can do this really easy using a soil pit, but if you're not going to dig a pit, then you've got a really handy tool hanging up in your shed called a shovel, and that does a pretty good job as well. Once you've assessed the compaction and you've determined whether it's impacting into your plant line, then you can start to make a plan about what you're going to do about it going forward. In terms of making this plan, I think it's pretty handy to think short, medium and long-term strategies. In the short term, if you haven't defoliated by the right time, you might have to pupay bust to meet those obligations, so that's something you're going to have to do. The other thing you'll have to do is start to do your bed prep. Pull up your hills and fix any impacts that the tyres might have made on the sides of those, because you want your plant beds to be nice and happy and healthy no matter what you're going to do. In terms of medium term, that's where you need to think, well, what am I going to do with this field in my following season? Am I going to grow cotton here? Yes or no? Or maybe I'm going to rotate to a winter crop. If you rotate to a full season winter crop, that'll give you a really good chance of remediating a lot of this compaction. These soils, though they compact easy, are really good for shrink and swell. And getting your nice winter crop roots coming all the way through here, whether it's a fibrous crop like a cereal or even a taprooted crop like a brassica, doesn't matter in terms of their moisture extraction, because they all pull moisture out of the soil and that forces the shrink swell. If you plan to grow cotton again in this field in the following season, that's something you can do, and cotton is a really good crop at drying out the soil, as we know. But if that's your strategy, you need to accept that you're probably going to have a yield penalty. And the penalty is because the compaction has actually reduced the depth of the bucket of available water and resources. If we're going down and the crop's extracting all the way to 80 centimetres or below in a normal season, that's great, you've got a big bucket. But what we see often is that the compaction elicits itself around that 50 centimetre mark, so you've got a much shallower bucket. What that means is you're going to have to irrigate probably lower volumes, but more frequently to supply that crop, and your nutrition program might have to change to account for that as well. Another strategy that you might choose to take to try and fix some of this compaction is tillage. I'm a big fan of tillage in the right circumstances for the right reasons, but if you want to try and fix your compaction this way, you need to know exactly where that compacted layer is. This is my scarifier head from the trash bin mounted on my chisel, which makes it about 25 centimetres. If we put that on the hill, how far down is that getting? Not very far. If we put it on the furrow, how far down's that getting? Our compaction layer here, we've tested already, is about 50 centimetres, so double what this tillage implement's getting to. So you could till right now to try and fix the compaction in this soil, but you're not going to get it. So ultimately, the key to remediating these big, heavy clay soils is drying. Whether you're going to grow a rotation crop to force that shrink and swell, drying out the soil, pulling apart those compacted layers and having it come together again when it re-wets, or whether your compacted layer is shallow enough that you can fix that with tillage, you still need that soil to be dry. In terms of your tillage, you need those clods to be dry enough to shatter. Otherwise, you're just smearing through mud and you're exacerbating that problem. You could also do a combination of both, drying it out with a rotation crop, and then if you choose to till, maybe going down that route. But regardless, the key to these soils is to dry them out first.